While it is perfectly acceptable to create tables and populate them with data yourself in Dreamweaver, it's not always the fastest way to get your data into your pages. If your table already exists in a Word or Excel document, you can simply import that file directly into Dreamweaver. Dreamweaver builds the table structure from the available data, leaving you to add any of the accessibility features or additional structure your table may require. It's the fastest, most efficient way to get data into Dreamweaver and into a table. Now, if you're working on a Windows machine, you can use the Import Word or Import Excel document option to import straight from that program. On the Mac, you need to first save the file out as a comma or tab delimited file, and then use the Import Tabular Data option. Since Import Tabular Data lets you import delimited files, regardless of the program that they originated from, we'll use that method to bring our file into Dreamweaver. So here I have the Tours, Details, Big Sur, Trails.htm file from the Tours folder. This is the file that we're going to be using for the remainder of the chapter. And it's a really long name, so I'll probably just refer to it as the Trails file from this point forward. I'm going to scroll down the page, and here we can see a list that includes the difficulty ratings for the hikes on our trails. Just below that is where we're going to import our table, so go ahead and place your cursor on a line blinking just below the list. You want to make sure you're still inside that main article div tag. Now, to import our table on the page, we're going to go up to the menu, and we're going to go to File, Import, Tabular Data. Now, you'll notice on my interface, I also see the options for importing a Word or Excel document. If you're on a Mac, you're not going to see those. So it's a safe bet that you can bring in a comma or a tab delimited file, so you could just use Word or Excel to go ahead and create that type of a file, and you'll be fine. So I'm going to say Import Tabular Data, and the first thing it's going to want to do is browse out and find the file. So I'm just going to hit Browse. So you want to browse to the 1102 folder and go in the Assets directory. Now, in the Assets directory, you're going to find an Excel spreadsheet and a text file. The text file is a tab delimited file that has already been exported from the Excel spreadsheet. If you wanted to experiment bringing in the Excel spreadsheet, you could do that as well. I'm going to click Open, and from the delimiter type, I'm going to choose Tab. Now, if you're given this file from someone else and they didn't tell you which one they were using, my advice would be to start with Tab and then afterwards try comma. I mean, there really aren't that many choices, so you could pretty much just go down the list and you'd be in good shape. Now, after this, we have some very limited formatting options for the table that we're about to bring in. You'll notice that this in no way gives us the same amount of choices that we had when we placed our table on the page earlier. So for table width, we're just going to have it fit to the data. For cell spacing, padding, and border, we're going to type in 0. And for formatting top row, we're going to choose no formatting. Now the options there would be bold, italic, and bold and italic, which is pretty common for headers. But we're going to be controlling that visual formatting through styles, so we really don't want to do it through this dialog box. I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and my table has been imported on the page. Now, with the table selected, I'm going to switch over to Code View, making sure I'm looking at the source code, and we can see that we've brought in a very basic table in terms of its structure. There's a table tag, our table row tag, and additional table row tags. You'll notice, for example, that the top row is not made of table headers or TH tags. They are, in fact, just table cell tags. So we don't have those types of options as we're importing tabular data. We have to make those changes manually. They're not that hard to do, however. I'm going to switch back over to Design View, and I'm going to highlight the first row. So trail name, type, length, path, elevation, and rating. If I look down at my Properties Inspector, in addition to the regular HTML and CSS properties that I'm used to seeing, I also see a section for the table row that I have highlighted. One of my options is to make everything within that table row a header cell. I'm going to go ahead and click that checkbox, and now those are TH tags instead of TD tags. For this table, I'm going to do the exact same thing for the first column. So starting with Andro Malera Loop all the way down to Vincent Flat Trail, I'm going to highlight those, and again, convert them to table headers. So now we have table header cells at the top of the table, and we have table header cells on the left column of the table. Now, our table doesn't look all that great right now, but What's important is that it is structured correctly and that the data is being presented in the right fashion. Now, we're going to style it later, but before we get to that, we're going to explore what we can do to help make this table more accessible.